Now, it's an illness that affects up to 30 million people worldwide, 20,000 of so here in Scotland, but it remains largely invisible. Myalgic encephalomyelitis, or ME, is a debilitating neurological condition, often misdiagnosed and misunderstood. But for sufferers of this chronic fatigue syndrome, it's a devastating condition which leaves many housebound or even unable to leave their beds. Well, tomorrow a series of events will be held worldwide to mark ME Awareness Day, and taking part in one of those events in Edinburgh is Stuart Murdoch, the frontman of the band Belle and Sebastian. Stuart, you've lived with this condition for decades now. How would you explain it to someone who's never come in contact with ME before?
Yes, it's quite difficult. We spent many years early on specifically not explaining because it was so hard to understand when you don't really see anything on the surface. It's I would say for myself it's like having, you know, when you first get a flu, you know, the day that you feel the flu coming on and you feel so ill that you've got to take to your bed. That's pretty much the closest description I would give, and I feel that sort of day after day. But it's a sliding scale. There's a lot of poor people that can't even get out the house. A quarter of the people with ME can't get out the house or are bedbound. And me and my friends, we've been through these stages, and thankfully we're a bit better now. But yes, it turns your life upside down, of course.
Absolutely. And you're in a band, a very famous band, of course, touring worldwide and all sorts. I mean, how does that affect your schedule? I mean, how are you able to hold down a job with this condition? Well,
I'm in the unique position that in a sense, the band and the music grew out of my ME. That I started writing songs after, you know, a few years after I was diagnosed, as a way of dealing with it, of coping with it. And so in a sense, the band was built around that. So I always was able to take things at my own pace, which is key. No matter what level of ME you have to go at your own pace and find a way of coping with it. And you know, to this day, I have great support with my crew and my band and my management. You know, I do the concert and then I'll disappear and rest. You know, I'll miss the sound check and it's all these coping strategies.
Do you think your condition's held you back at all?
That's a good question, but 30 years in, you don't really think like that anymore, you know, because you're so in it. You're just coping on a day-to-day basis, and I'm really, you know, I try to look at things in a positive way. You know, I love my group, and I'm so lucky. I've got my family and 2 kids, so.
Which is great. Let's talk about the illness itself. As I mentioned, it's, you know, often misdiagnosed. A lot of people don't understand it. They see it as they're just too tired to get out of bed, too lazy. How do you counter these misconceptions about ME?
Yes, well, I think that was more. I know that's probably still happening to people now. It's very difficult when you first get ME, and you seem to be very much on your own, and you know, if you don't get a good doctor who can really take you by the hand and tell you how it's going to be and guide you through it, that's the key thing, to get people to tell you, you know, how to cope with it. And sometimes you do come up against some negative attitudes. We just grew a very thick skin, to be honest with you, and we formed our own support groups, and we didn't talk about ME with the outside world, and we became like a clique, almost, to be honest, almost second-class citizens. I remember in the 90s when we were, me and my friends were so sort of down with it. But so you just get on with it, and to be honest, some of the things, you know, it can make you really stubborn and bloody-minded, and you know, so. But obviously we're trying to move on from that. We're trying, you know, I think the ME people have been in the dark for too long.
Yes.
And I think things are getting much more positive now, you know, so we're really appealing to the medical community and the Scottish Government. Do something about this. You know, somebody be a hero. We need a diagnosis. There's no cure. Let's start with a diagnosis.
Right.
I would love in my lifetime for them to be a positive test to tell us what's going on.
So I imagine if there's no diagnosis, and forgive me, I'm quite ignorant about this, I mean, is there a treatment? Is there?
No, exactly. Without a diagnosis, first of all, you know, we would just love it, you know, to find out what's going on, to tell us what's wrong with us. You know, we're not shying away from that. We just would love to know. So that would be the first thing. But you know, I mean, I'm in a rock and roll band. You would think that I would be able to see a medical expert. I've never met an ME specialist. I've never seen an ME specialist. There aren't any. You know, maybe there is somewhere, but they're far away and they're expensive, and really I'm not sure. In America, they do actually treat ME with pills, you know. And I have a friend who actually made a movie called Unrest, which is a terrific movie if you get the chance to see it. Now she tells me, you know, she managed to stop being housebound by getting, you know, treatment with, you know, with pills. I don't know what kind of pills. But
so there's still a long way to go in terms of the medical side of it, but also, as you said, that you don't want to be second-class citizens anymore. You want to raise awareness. And tell us just briefly about the event tomorrow, about raising awareness of this condition. Yes, well,
this will be my first Missing Millions event. I know that it's gone on a couple of times, and I feel it'll be a very moving. I've seen it on, you know, I've seen footage of it before, folk getting together and almost having a lie-in, a bed-in in the street, you know, which is completely appropriate. So many people with ME are stuck in their beds, so they managed to get them out, and it's a very brave thing for people to do. And you know, this might seem, you know, to some people that might even seem offensive, you know, all these people, ill people lying around, but this is, you know, this is a really strong image to send. This is what we're like, this is the best we can do.
Okay, well, it's very brave of you also for coming on STV News Tonight to share your story. Thank you so much. Stuart Murdoch from Belle and Sebastian. Thanks. Thank you.